here this time too.
I am here with the most recently evicted house guest, Ken, along with his girlfriend from season 1, Tiffany, and the other members of Extra Rib here to discuss what happened now on Big Brother Cheesecake 8 Political Bait. Hello, I'm Andrew Shessing Moonves. Welcome to Big Brother Cheesecake 8 Political Bait. It's day 11 inside the Big Brother Cheesecake house. And this week, Kendra of the Liberal Party is the head of household. She nominated Glow and Gina for eviction. But one of them might win the Golden Power Veto tomorrow and some other prizes and whatnot. But first, I'm here with Ken, not really the first evicted house guest because Erica quit. So technically the second house guest evicted. Hey, you didn't finish last. Woohoo! Big Brother Cheesecake 8, along with the other members of Extra Whip. And we are going
post who was evicted yet? Or who was nominated yet?
He just said.
Oh, this airs later, right?
Yeah, this airs later.
Yes. I'll never forget when Tiffany and I taped 2 shows at once, and in between the 2 shows, she's like, "Oh, I have to do a quick change because they won't know that this is on a separate day." And then anyway, so we're all here to dish the dirt. So Ken, welcome.
Hi. He's so enthused to be here.
Unfortunately, you were evicted, but I actually think that you were kind of happy about that. So would you like to tell us what happened this week that led to your demise?
Can I say it?
Okay. Sure.
I don't even know exactly what this was. It was like Dungeons and Dragons, but for reality show watchers, I guess. Like that is sort of my conceptualization of this entire endeavor. But like, I think it's important to know that you were like, join. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And Tiffany was like, yeah, you should join. And I'm like, not interested. And then repeat that like 500 times over the course of a year. And then like, it's going to be political debate. And I'm like, still not interested. And then Tiffany just signed me up. So that's how, and I was just like, okay. And then I started receiving messages a week ago that was like, it's starting. And I'm like, what is okay? And I didn't know I thought there were video chats. No video chats. It's just all Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, I don't know if this is the right format. You know, you got Marshall McLuhan saying the medium's the message. I don't know what the message is here by doing it Messenger, but here we are. And political debate. Okay, so I knew that there were some Trumpy MAGAs and that kind of thing, and I thought it would be kind of spicy. It was not spicy. It was not spicy. Like days of messages in the group chat were like, I walked my puppy dog, or I listened to smooth jazz, or I really love flavor of pretzel. And I'm like, that's great, but like, have friends.
But I love my puppy dog and smooth jazz and pretzels. Also, I love the Canadian content. The medium is the message. If you've ever watched those History Channel.
So you almost had that right. It was Pringles, not pretzels, but actually most of that was correct. Before I let the others take it away, because I know the 4 of them are dying to ask you questions, I do have to say one thing. The one mistake you made is Tiffany gave you the advice. Oh, I know a lot. Okay, one of many mistakes you made. Tiffany gave you the advice of play the invisibility card and do nothing and lay low. But Tiffany mastered that in season 1 by showing up for competitions and being active. And I think what happened was in the very beginning, the very first 2 days, you were totally invisible. And unfortunately, that put you on Alex's radar, and that's why he put you up. But otherwise, you were very entertaining, I must say. And I do want to say, because I know I've given you a lot of shit in the last week, you are the most intelligent person that I know, and you are one of the most intelligent people, in my opinion, on the face of planet Earth. And I mean that as a compliment. And Big Brother Cheesecake is just not for everybody, but at least you tried it, because there are people who would be good, who would do really well, and refused to try. At least you tried, so I'll give you that. But yeah.
The thing, like, I found it quite interesting before we get into question and answer. I
And
found
I was gonna say he ghosted us like he ghosted the game.
No.
yeah,
no.
right.
Yeah. I didn't see what I expected with the debate and stuff like that. And I said, well, I can either, and then when I found out I got nominated because I couldn't keep up with the competition stuff, I was like, I'm at work / I have a social life, whatever. So I realized I could either just like quietly get booted off without making an impact whatsoever, or I could try to actually do something interesting. So I tried to converse. I tried to stir political debate and controversy. And I mean, two of the participants were like, I get all my news from TikTok. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna work, but like,
The first week is always like that because everyone's so afraid. I think even to show who they really are, like, because the first week the HOH was looking for any reason to put up anyone. So it's just you got to get through that initial like. I can't even remember the amount of chats I had going the first week, but it was one with everyone plus like 50 alliances.
I can see what Ken is saying. To be quite honest, and I mean Corey and I played the same season. Ken, we had a gal that was on our season, who we actually knew, Megan. I'm not like she's watching this, but Megan knew right away, like 1 or 2 days in, this was not her bag, and it was also not my bag. I found it really hard. I'm very busy at my work. It was really, like, I found it really challenging. One of the things that saved me was Corey and I knew each other and everybody else didn't know that. So I could at least rely on Corey a bit to kind of tell me what was going on. So it would be tough if you didn't know what to expect. You're flung into having like small talk. I'm not very good at that.
yeah.
Right. And so I do understand that. Like that, I totally get that. And some people, it's just not their bag. Then you have some people like Tom, who played last season, who both Corey, Andrew, and I know very well. And I didn't think Tom would do very well. And Tom was entertaining as hell. So it just, I think it just depends. And some people it just doesn't jive with.
And I think it's
Michael's freezing.
but
Michael, you're
Am I
so,
freezing? Because
No,
someone's
it's
freezing.
Michael. It must be his connection.
yeah, Michael, your connection is a little
I'll come back.
okay. On the flip side of that, you have Joanne, who was thrilled both times to jump right in, and she talking to everybody, showing everyone her boobs. Yeah, there we go.
No. Let's get this straight, Andrew. The first time I played, I was really, really excited because it seemed like I was put in that pit of bus drivers and I knew most of them. So it was actually really good, and socially trying to get to know them, it was great. But
Okay,
we were a lot older, I found, in the first one, and there was very few gamers. In All Stars, that was almost the whole time. And when I walked into that one, the other Rhonda and I, by the way, did you get her pulse?
nope.
I'm going to have to message her then. I'll get a pulse. Anyway, her and I kind of were like, what the fuck is going on in here? And everyone was coming at us hard, trying to make alliances right away. And it, for me, alliance in a private chat was golden. And I didn't realize everyone was like these serious gamers, and it was like not really my thing. Although I did enjoy myself both times. I'm just saying, when I first entered in the house in Hogwarts, I was excited and I was, chatty Cathy, because that's me, right? Like I never shut up. Sometimes people just like, really, is she going on about that? Yeah. And then, I mean, it made it interesting because Jim was there, and Jim and I always kind of like were talking on the buses every day. And it was a lot of fun. So
The twist
Ken,
is
did you make
you're
any
all
connections
slithering.
with anybody? Just a question. Ken, did you make any connections with anybody? Was there anybody? And if you don't have to say the name, right? If you don't want to, or
yes, he can. He can
Yeah, we
say
want
the
names.
name.
Yeah.
well, but if he doesn't want to, I don't want to, but like
Let the man talk.
make a connection with somebody.
There was a couple of guys who seemed pretty nice. I think Davey was in my liberal group and he seemed pretty nice. And I think Curtis or something like that seemed pretty nice.
Uh-oh. Did I
One thing
freeze?
that Joanne touched on, no, you're good. One thing that Joanne touched upon, which is important, Ken is playing in season 8. Tiffany's played in season 1. Season 1 and the earlier seasons did have a lot of older people and a lot of transit operators, my coworkers from Brampton Transit. And those older bus drivers, those older bus drivers were very combative, didn't take shit, leaned right, and they fought right away. Chad and Charlene, week 1, you're an old hag. Thank you. You should your mom should have gotten an abortion. And they were going at it immediately. And then then you fast forward to All Stars, where Charlene declares she's anti-vax and anybody who gets the vaccine is going to die. And it led to hours of nonstop. I mean, everybody.
So whereas this is more get to know you, frou, chatty fluff.
And I think Tiffany
Right.
sold it to Ken as you're going to have political this immediately. But this cast and season 6, 7, and 8, which had more orgers, they know better. They know to lay back and to be nice at the beginning. And as Kendra alluded to, she said it sassily to Ken, but she said, there is going to be drama. You're just not going to be here to see it. And she's right. Later on in the season is when everyone's going to slit each other's throats.
Right. And I think that everybody was expecting some political chat. Like, I would have loved to have been on this season. Like, I think Ken, you and I are opposite ends of the spectrum probably. But from what I've gathered from the small chat that I've heard about it, are you really a liberal or? Oh, okay, then never mind. But I would have loved that. That would have been great for me too. I would have chatted politics. But I think a lot of people at this point are like, politicals is the theme, but it's really not why most people are here to actually.
I would have found that really interesting. If that was my seat, like if I saw the name of it, same as you can, I think, I would have wanted to like start having those conversations right away. But I also have never played an org before until I played my season. So I probably would have done crappy too.
But I mean, I'm an experienced orger, and I probably would have still jumped into it. What are you laughing about, girl? Just show us your tits. Move on.
You almost should have called the season political masturbate, and then people would have been like, oh, there's sort of a joke here.
We don't need to get.
It was originally going to be political hate, but I didn't want to get canceled, so I changed it from political hate to political.
I do think that Ken, you would have done really well, and Andrew alluded to this. I don't know what was it this morning's. I don't remember about how people were kind of complaining they were trivia based. I do think the comps that they had, you maybe would have done really well in these comps.
I 100% agree with that, because if that was the case, I mean, I would have bailed out on the first couple questions.
I mean, if you like, I don't. You're not watching, Ken. You haven't watched the videos, right? So you don't know. Let's say, so you don't know what these political trivia questions were in the like. I think you would have done really well. You know, if people are getting their news from the TikTok, I think you would have done really well on these. So that's a shame.
The reason that I like kept pushing and everything like that, especially because it was political debate, and because what Andrew said, like when I met Ken, the first thing that I thought of was I wanted to fuck him with all his clothes still on, just his pee out. And then the second thing I thought was he was really smart and he knew a lot, and he knew so much. He knew about so many different things, and he maybe knew like 5 facts about 100 topics, but he could elaborate. And if something caught his attention, learn more about it.
Not gonna lie, I didn't listen to the second half of that.
Neither did I.
Look, I don't mean to objectify Ken, but I'm sad Ken's gone too for all sorts of kinds of different eye candy reasons, but hey, whatever.
Well, and just for our viewers' sake to know that before this video started getting recorded, Ken was shirtless for this. So
Yeah.
Ken decided to put a shirt on. We all tried to veto that. Yeah, he didn't have a shirt on when he started. Yeah.
Damn Zoom updates.
Has anyone tried playing into their political role yet? because like if I was playing the season, obviously I would have asked to be on the conservatives, and I would have made a hat like that said like make cheesecake great again or something. I would have like every video call I would have been playing in character and stuff like that. Like
No, they're still talking about walking their dogs and like if dogs poop is green or orange from what they ate today. Like guaranteed.
They had a conversation about Molson Canadian. I'm like, that's the least interesting beer on the planet. What is happening?
I will say that from like, oh God, I hate this. For the people that I know in the game, their probably one-on-one conversations are probably a lot more interesting than anything they're putting in a group chat. So, I mean, a lot of people are probably hiding stuff where other people can't see. So it's in their alliance chats, it's in their one-on-one chats that they're really showing a little bit more about who they are.
Right.
well, it's
Can I
always
ask-
that way, right?
Can I ask
Just the
Ken a
one-
question?
Yes, of course.
Did you really not get the rules?
No. And Andrew was like, they're so simple, a baby could get them. And then he posted this thing that I sent to Tiffany yesterday. And I'm like, does this seem simple? It was like 8 arbitrary proprietary definitions of random things. And I'm like, none of this is normal. This is
Well, I
not
guess, Ken, do
all of
you watch any reality TV? Do you watch Big Brother at all? Okay,
absolute-
I mean, I can understand that. Like, I watch all this, so it
Right.
helps understand the game better.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
think
but
what
if you're not
anything-
engaged,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There were times that I'm only like half paying attention that I would have to say to Corey. And I was really lucky. Like Corey and I got really lucky. We're pretty like Corey and I know each other. We knew we were gonna be each other's ride or die. Like it didn't matter. God knows now for everyone All-Stars, that's gonna screw that. But like I knew if I didn't know something, I'd like just say, Corey, what did I miss here? He had to explain things to me on a pretty regular basis because I only half pay attention because I was so busy. So I get you compound that to the fact you've never played it before. I can see how it would be.
But the only reason that I made it to the final 3 was because, like your Corey, I had Jeffrey that nobody knew. We knew each other, and Jeffrey was like taking you and Melanie to the final 3 because then all of us are gonna go to Cheesecake. We're gonna spend this $100. Like fuck everybody else, whatever. Jeffrey, 9 times out of 10, it would be after 9 o'clock. I had a night class, and he would call me and be like, "Get your fucking ass in the comp. These are the rules. This is what you do. This is my strategy. Just say this." Or just do this when I prompt you with this word. Okay. And it would just move me on to the next. Like I literally did this. I literally did this. People
I did a little more than that,
Oh.
but yeah, like I do understand. Like I would have to say to Corey, like, what time is the comp? What are we doing? What is the veto tonight? Like, because sometimes I just had no idea of what day of the week it was.
Well, I knew a lot of stuff, but you aligned yourself with someone that couldn't win a comp if their life depended on it.
Yeah, that was the problem, by the way. Like in our season, when the person who won the 3rd most highest comps was me with 3, yeah, we have a problem.
wow, okay. I mean, just out of curiosity, Tiffany, how far did you make it in your season?
I was final 3.
Oh, you were final 3. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you can learn a lot real quick in some of these games.
And it wasn't because I engaged anything. I mean, Charlene came at me at one point because she knew she was going to get voted off. I fucking can't stand her. And she's like,
my God, thank you.
in Christ, help me. So then Melanie and I decided to try to get her to lose this one game. But we would be like, okay, move your chess piece here. And she would do something totally opposite. We're like,
Someone
what the
say chess?
nice tits.
I was literally just thinking of that. No, it was a chess competition, and Tiffany and Melanie were trying to block Charlene in, but it didn't matter because Charlene was blocking herself in. And then
Yes.
Charlene is like, help me. Why aren't you helping me? You guys are being mean. It was so funny. She totally blocked herself in. But
Yeah. Like nobody wants to help you. 1, 2, every time we tell you to do something, you do the opposite. So either you can't fucking take directions because your brain is stupid because you're not vaccinated, or you're just drinking. I don't know. It could be one or the other.
So I'm going to go back and
Rhonda,
ask.
you're muted.
I'm going to go back and actually ask Ken a question because, we're here
Yes.
because of Ken.
Yes.
Hi, Ken. And having been through this once in a very short period of time, Is it something that you'll try again at some point, maybe with enough alcohol?
Like I have to have buy-in. So the Dungeons and Dragons analogy again. I've played it a couple times. The rule books are like this thick, and you go through, and it's like you could have a +10 spell, but a -4 to your initiative, and it goes on and on. All text, and that's all arbitrary and made up. But you can get into it if you have buy-in, if you're interested in actually learning how that works. So if I ever become actually interested in trying to compete, then I would learn the rules and go into it. Do I see that happening?
And just a quick follow-up. In your personality type, are you a competitive person?
Depends what it is.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Fuck you until you hate your life.
I have a question for Ken.
Yes, Joanne.
Okay, Ken,
Mhm.
when you found out that us as Extra Whip picked teams and you found out you were on my team, or when Tiffany found out, what was the reaction?
For wait, what?
This is called extra.
Yeah, he just found out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was
He
like,
hasn't watched
did
the
anyone
video.
on the cast know that we had a draft yet?
Yeah,
From the first
that
Extra
was
Whip.
the first
That's
episode.
let me know.
Yeah.
That was,
How many of them watched it is what I'm saying.
that's a
Oh.
good question, actually.
Well, maybe they should, because there might be questions about that coming up at some point.
So one thing I will, because I know, I mean, I'm not that I'm trying to speak on behalf of Ken, but when we were talking about it, I think it was yesterday when we were on the group chat, or last night when we were on the group chat, and Ken was still confused. He's like, I don't even know what the fuck's happening. And I was like, well, I actually I actually know these people from other seasons, not like personally or anything like that, but I like these people because I think that they have really great heads on their shoulders, and like I would want to go out with these people. Like they don't repulse me like anybody else on most of the season. They're not heinous like others. I use that word because I was called heinous for multiple reasons. Whatever. And you know, when Ken was voted off, it's a blow. You know, we had this discussion yesterday. Like when I was called heinous and I was ripped to shreds by other people for saying words that they weren't comfortable with, it hurt. Did I let it affect me completely? No. It hurt Ken yesterday. And he was like, this really sucks. Like, I really tried to put myself out there, and these people want to talk about their dogs and that they touched their pee-pee yesterday. Like, nobody gives a fuck about that. And I'm really trying to show my personality, and you showed me absolutely nothing.
Like,
so it was a blow. And so I basically, what I was saying to answer Joanne's question, I had to introduce him to this group and introduce him to the people to be like, these are the people that you should care actually like you and want to get to know you, because all these other losers are losers. They're all a bunch of Americans who don't know left from right. Clearly, if they're learning everything from TikTok.
right.
So I just tried to like hype. I mean, we don't need any hyping. We're a
Tiffany's
great.
opinions are of her own and her own only.
Yeah, like I had the two choices. I could either be a wallflower and get booted off, or I could reveal a bit of my personality and get booted off. And that requires a little bit of vulnerability. And I put myself, I thought I was interesting, perhaps sanctimonious and condescending. Yes, I get that. But like at least interesting, and that might tide me through, and it didn't. And that may be a little bit sad for a small portion of the morning.
So
But like,
I don't know. That would have drawn me to you. Ask Corey and I who we played with. I mean, I think you remind me a little bit. I think you do remind me a little tiny bit of Steven. I think I get a little bit of Steven from you. And maybe that's why I like you so much. In our season, Corey and I, anyway.
He even got away with it because he had Karen, though.
Well,
if he didn't have Karen, like in the beginning, right? Like, because Steven played the invisible cards. Like, he literally wasn't there for the first 3 weeks. But
a very smart guy, but he's played a lot of roles. But I get a lot of that from you. Like, I find you quite endearing. The little bit I know about you, I do. I find you interesting and endearing. I'm just gravitate, I suppose, to your type of personality.
Oh, I can't drink.
Like, I would love to drink with you guys if you ever come to New York. Come visit me in New York.
I remember that.
Everyone has an open invite to come visit me in New York.
I will say, especially in the first week, if you're, it goes one of two ways. You either join the crowd or you start to show your personality, and it'll go. Either people will be drawn to that, or that's what they'll use. like, luckily, I'm in this kind of situation, I'm a pretty social person, so that worked for me early on. But yeah, I totally understand that. It's
It's
like,
the mob mentality too, though,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody wants to be the first. So if there's any small thing, and if everybody gravitates and kind of generally agrees, let's say, like he's not around or this or that, because it's right in the beginning. So it's any small thing, then the group just kind of gravitates because it's safe.
Yeah. Ugh, but I don't regret anything. I taught people about gun control laws in both America and Canada, and rentier capitalism and why that's a problem for our society. So.
And there was quite a big gun discussion a couple days ago, and yes, you were very active in that. And I do think people, if they read everything you wrote, they did learn something. I learned something.
I don't think they knew how to read.
No.
Some of them don't. I know that for a fact.
Oh, good. Right.
Oh, no.
So Ken, I'm going to ask this question. I asked this to everybody, and it's going to be tough for you, but I always ask it.
Other wall.
What?
What? I missed
Nothing.
it. Oh, okay. Who do you think is going to win the game, and who do you want to see win the game?
I didn't get to know enough people. Davey, he was nice. DAV. Is how you
Okay,
spell it.
so we'll say that for both. You think and Davey will win, and you want to see Davey win. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else?
I do. I have a question. I don't know if you guys asked this question while I unplugged, but do you, what did you think about the LBAs?
What's an LBA?
And did you have any yourself?
What's an
Legally
LBA?
binding.
So I don't think Ken was one of the house guests who didn't do it, but yeah, he didn't watch the videos, so he didn't know what an LBA was. So the answer is no. You just
Legally binding article? Like what?
legally binding article you can make with another house guest, so that you make a promise with them, they promise back, but I legally bind you to it, meaning they cannot break their word.
Because a lot of time in this game, like I could say, we could all be playing together and I could say, hey, Joanne, I'll keep you safe for 3 weeks if you get HOH. Normally, that could be a bunch of bullshit and I could turn around and backstab Joanne and nominate her next week if I was HOH. What Andrew did with that was if you want to go into these, it's going to be enforced, where if you make this a binding agreement that if I'm HOH, I will not nominate Joanne for the entire game. Andrew would make everybody stick. Like Andrew would make the people who made those agreements stick to them.
One last question. Oh, go ahead, Tiff.
Why did you make that?
Because of the political theme of making an article that's legally binding, just goes with the theme.
Oh, I thought it was for other seasons too.
No, it's this season.
Oh,
First time only.
Oh, okay.
One last question. So
That's dumb. That's what causes the drama.
well, okay. Thank you. My last question to Ken and Tiffany. So the Golden Power Veto competition, which could have saved you. Hi, Kitty. I'm pretty sure you
Now
would have
you're
won
looking
it.
at my pussy.
Yes. I'm pretty sure you could have won it because it was all trivia. You said you were at Ukrainian Christmas, and because it's a holiday for Ukrainians, I was not going to push. But let's say hypothetically, Tiff, I wanted to ask you, if Ken came to you and said, I'm on the block and I need this veto, can we find 20 minutes for me to step away from the table from thing to do this on Zoom? What would you have said back to him?
Ken didn't want to do it because he didn't want to play.
I know, but let's say he was really into it and he wanted time away, like, I don't know, 20 minutes or whatever.
I probably would have helped him if I could.
Okay.
Like,
Let's be a good supporting girlfriend.
Training Christmas isn't a big deal because, well, we had fucking issues. Anyways, whatever. And the night ended early anyway, so he would have had time. I mean, I had no problem with him playing. I wanted him to win. I wanted him to win the thing because I thought he's the smartest person in this group and any of the groups. So especially if there's a lot of political stuff going on, he'd be able to literally like slash anybody in half.
Yeah.
It's too bad that people didn't see that. Like, I think there's some people that had they gotten to know you enough, they could have used that to their advantage. like, you know, taking them like, here, come with me. We'll do good things together, right?
Well, that's why. But Kendra was like so passive aggressive with like so many of her comments, and I was like, "You're actually the dumbest fucking person I've ever in my life." Because you easily could have befriended him and he would have helped you, but you're stupid. So there's that.
My meanest comment that I'm willing to share in a YouTube video that's posted publicly was, you were like, who's this Kendra? And I pulled up her Facebook profile picture, and it's 3 women. And I just went, one of these things.
Anyway, my final question now, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, my final question before we go. The vote was 11-1. Any idea who was the one vote to save you?
Davy, whatever.
Wait, what? Rephrase the question.
The results were 11-1. 11 people voted you out. 1 person voted to keep you.
Oh man, is that unanimous, eh? Oof.
Yeah, they really didn't like you because
Yeah,
you were
they didn't
smart
like
and they're stupid.
Okay.
So who do you think was the one person? I'm sorry, I don't like that shit. You're a fucking middle-aged piece of crap and you're passive aggressive. Get fucked. Like actually get
final 3, Tiffany.
Sorry.
Anyway, with that said,
people don't have street smarts when they're book smart. And I was like, you don't have either. So there's that.
with that said, who will win the Golden Power Veto? Find out tomorrow. And Monday, will they use it in the Golden Power Veto ceremony? Tuesday, the final 2 nominees plead their case, and Dustin and I will have phone sex. We'll do his memory match bonus competition. And Wednesday is the next live eviction and head of household competition, where another house guest will be evicted from the Big Brother Cheesecake 8 house, get impeached from Congress, and lose their shot at the $800 cash prize. I'm Andrew Chefs of Moonbez. Take care, and remember, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what your country can do for you.